expensive. I bought a microphone. Oh, man. You guys watch The Blacklist? I don't know if anybody else does but me, but, oh, man. Super good. Especially this season. Oh, my God. Last season picked up near the end, but all in all, not great. This one, roller coaster ride. Been enjoying the whole fucking thing. Check it out if you have not. I highly recommend it. Even last season, season 4. We're currently on season 5. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. Today, we are continuing with Things I Like To. This is Things I Like To Be. And we are talking about role-playing games again. Where to even start? Like, with how fun they are. Like, I'm just saying, like, if you want to do something, you can do it. Like, and that is, like, I think, just right there. That's the coolest part. Like, you want to go up into a plane and dive out of it, then you can do that. So, like, okay. I talked about Shadowrun last week, and I really enjoy Shadowrun. And I'm pretty thoroughly enmeshed in it, as you can see from my, pretty thorough knowledge of the universe and whatnot. But, like, this was one of my favorite experiences, was just playing this game. Like, just because I had a really good GM. The dude was really imaginative and really adaptive, and I'm always game for whatever. In any RPG, there's always the risk of having that one guy that's like, well, what if I don't want to do that? What if I just want to, like, stay at home and, whittle wood sculptures and shit? Well, then don't play a role-playing game, motherfucker. But fuck that guy. Anyway, you can do that. There's rules for it. Roll your performance plus, dexterity, and we'll see how good you are at making that particular sculpture. It'll take a series of hours, and you can reduce the number of hours based on the number of your successes. Pretty fucking boring, right? Fuck that guy. But anyway, I'm always game. Whatever the GM has going on, I'm up for it. I'm a yes man when it comes to that shit. So I had my earliest Shadowrun character was, I guess, what could be best described as a combat decker. Decker equals hacker in the Shadowrun universe. They have little handheld computers that they call decks. Yeah, at the time it was pretty fucking revolutionary. Then they got rid of decks and they replaced them with comlinks, and now decks are back. I don't know. It's complicated. But the important thing is decker equals hacker, and I was what can be described as a combat decker. So I was pretty proficient with my computer, and I had it uploaded, my deck. I had it uploaded with a bunch of programs that I could use to deck or hack different systems. And so there's reality, which we all live in. There's augmented reality, which is the overlay, the Google Glass sort of view of the world, which is what most people see the world as. Most people interact with the world in some sort of augmented reality fashion. And then there's virtual reality, where we actually enter our physical bodies, inhabit the world of computers, and we can move around at speed of thought and things like that. So my combat decker's name was Cross. Yeah, right? And his persona, or I guess a more accurate word these days would be avatar, was a glowing cross with wires just like coming out of it. And the wires would interact with things, and that's how the programs happened. And then, like if he had to attack something, there would be a beam of light that would come down, and that would be the representation of the attack program. If there was a shield, again, there would be a glowing light that would come down and protect the cross in a halo of armor. Just fucking silly shit like that. But anyway, so Cross was actually pretty badass. He was an orc, and his intelligence wasn't super good, but it was good enough so that he was able to hack things pretty successfully. And when he wasn't able to hack things, he had a shotgun. Now, I will tell you, in the game of Shadowrun, and in a lot of games, Doom, Vampire the Masquerade, any game that has a shotgun, it's a pretty effective weapon, especially if you don't use flechette ammo. The pellets. Just slugs. Just hit them hard, hit them fast, and, move on. So yeah, I learned very early in that game that shotguns were very effective. And shotguns in the Shadowrun universe, and actually in our universe now that I think about it, are semi-automatic. So, some of them you don't need to rack. You just keep firing because they have a magazine. Like, oh god, it's so... ugh. It's nasty. So, Cross was... I can't remember what the specific plot was. What I was chasing or what I was going after. Because it is... we're going back a decade or more. No, well, way more than a decade. Almost 20 years. Almost. Like, early 2000s. But what I can tell you is that Cross was not the nicest guy, and he didn't necessarily make friends. So he had a nemesis. This guy, I can't remember what exactly I did to piss him off so much, except for one-upping him at every turn. So there was a moment where I had fucked him up in the last mission. Like, fucked him up. So when he came back to me, he was a fucking cyborg. Literally. They have what is in the Shadowrun universe known as a technological abomination. So the human body can only support so many cybernetic augmentations before it, loses its soul and just becomes a robot. And in order to maintain the human intelligence inside this cybernetic shell, you have to use a lot of twisted magic. So I had fucked this guy up so much to the point that he had turned himself into an abomination in order to try and stop me. Fortunately, I had a really crafty mage with me who was able to pin him down with an engulf spell, which basically held him in place in a torrent of wind. So what I did was simply set a 10-second timer on a grenade, set it in that torrent of wind right next to him, and blew him to Kingdom Come. And there it was, the blast faded, and there was this shell of a dude just sitting in a whirlwind and dead. There was another time with that same character, and again, I don't remember all the details. I was on a plane for some reason. I was going somewhere, and a motherfucking vampire was on that goddamn plane. It was the fucking, I couldn't kill him because he's a fucking vampire, but I had managed to push him out the plane. But then the plane was going down. Because the vampire was the pilot. He was posing as the pilot to tricked me into doing something. I can't remember what exactly it was, but somehow I had seen through his nefarious plan and had thrown him out the motherfucking plane. And I had no piloting skills whatsoever on this guy. I'm a fucking computer hacker. So there was a parachute, fortunately. And no, okay. No, it was even worse than that. He threw me out of the plane. My plan was to trap him in the plane and crash it into something whilst I deftly jumped out of the plane. But I had a parachute in my hand and got shoved out of the plane. That's what happened. And so I had to use all of my in Shadowrun. It's called karma. In other games, it's called luck. Some games call it other things. Dungeons and Dragons doesn't have an equivalent. If you can't put the parachute on, you die. But Shadowrun, they have a more flair for the dramatic. So it's like an action movie. So yeah, there I am, falling through the air with a parachute in my hand, and I managed to strap it over my other shoulder and lock it in place and pull the cord just enough in time to save my life. I had to burn through quite a bit of karma that day, I can tell you. So yeah, Shadowrun's just fucking good times. In the later versions, in I think it was 4th edition, also known as the 20th anniversary edition, there were two versions of the same role-playing system. That was when Mr. Smith was introduced. Just had a grand old time with that character. There was a stint where Tim was my brother Tim was our magic user, spellcaster. And I can't remember what exactly our main goal was at the time, but we had a little downtime, and we picked up a little side mission from this dude his daughter was being harassed by this crazy dude, like diagnosed schizophrenic, and just like he thought he was trying to save her from demons. Just a crazy motherfucker. So we managed to track the dude down, and we blow the grab. Like, we were supposed to grab him and throw him in a car, and we blow that. Like, he sees us, and he starts bolting. So my brother, the spellcaster, just a reckless motherfucker, like, puts a wall of fire around the dude. Like, so he can't go very far. But he's still threatening to break out. Like, he can't go this way, but he can go that way. He's threatening to break out. So, Mr. Smith, logical and reasonable to the very end, shoot him in the leg with my silenced pistol. I figured, that'll slow him down. So, yeah, literally everyone can see this, too. Like, we're on the fucking street, and it's crazy. So, shoot him in the leg, grab him, throw him in the car, and drive away. And we gotta scare this dude. Like, we gotta, keep him from getting to this girl. I don't know why we couldn't just kill him. It seems like how Mr. Smith would have handled the situation, but for some reason we couldn't kill him, or we didn't want to kill him. I can't remember. Maybe we were paid not to kill him, just to put the fear of God in him. So anyway, my brother gets the brilliant fucking idea. So this dude is, schizophrenic and sees demons and whatnot. So he summoned fire to stop this guy, and he's like, I am Jesus, or I am a demon. I can't remember how he manifested. I can't do my brother. I can't imitate him very well. But basically he was I'll try. So essentially, the guy's bleeding on my, you know, on my upholstery, and Tim's like, I am the Lord of God, and I fucking command you to stay away from. Anyway, I can't do it, like I said. But it's something like that. I am the Lord of God. Like, no, you know. I am Jesus himself. Something like that. To convince the guy to stay away from her. And from what I know, it was all successful. And then there was another time, I think with the same troop of losers. So I'm pretty sure at this time it was me, a rigger, this dude with a cowboy hat who was like a mercenary, and then there was Tim, who was our spellcaster. And our job was to get a girl from a hotel. We were supposed to pick her up, keep her safe while she was on a job, and then take her back to where we picked her up from. Naturally, the pickup went fine. We picked her up. We brought her to the hotel for the meet. And then, of course, everything else went sideways, as always happens. So, God, it got, like, really bad. So, like, the fucking Yakuza showed up, and there were people, like, everywhere. I think Tim, like, mind controlled a dude and had him shoot another dude, and the girl who you were supposed to protect died, but she did have a bag of items with her. So I don't usually do this, add things in after the fact, but as I was editing this, something I remembered. The girl that we dropped off, she had set us up. The reason that she was dead was because I killed her. She betrayed us, and that made me very angry, and I shot her, and I grabbed the bag of whatever it was that she went there to get, hoping that our employer would be happy with the contents of whatever that was. And that's a big part of the reason why the Yakuza showed up and things went south. So I just grabbed that shit and I booked it. Like, that was my big plan. I'm going to take the stuff that she got and I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Everyone else basically did the same thing. They boned out. Our rigger, who was in a car, who was controlling the car, I should say. Riggers control vehicles with their minds through computer interfaces called vehicle control rigs. You're all caught up now. So the rigger starts driving off. Some guy tags me. One of the Yakuza guys shoots me as I'm running away and goes to grab the bag. Now this is where shit gets ridiculous. The Yakuza guy grabs the bag and picks me up, hauls me back. He thinks he's gonna fucking, keep me from... Okay, no, I'm telling this wrong. Is this how... Okay, so a Yakuza guy shoots me, I fall down. There's the bag. There's the guy. He's running towards me to get the bag. The rigger, he hits the dude who's running at me with his car, right? Hits the dude, knocks him down, fucks him up. He's probably dead. I don't know. But he doesn't swerve fast enough and also hits me. So I get fucking sideswiped and I fucking literally plant on the windshield. You know that scene in the movie where the dude's like on the windshield waving his hands around while the car keeps driving? That's me until I pass out and roll off. Wake up in the hospital several days later And I have, okay, so the rigger has what's called drones. We are all familiar with drones now. We're all familiar with drones now because we've been through Obama's presidency, so we know what those are. So he has some drones that he has monitoring the situation. They protect him and protect us, and they record, and we're tapped into the feed, so I record everything, just in case I need to use it as blackmail later. Because that's the kind of psychopath that I am. I'm not the kind of psychopath that runs somebody down with a car, but I am the type of dude that will record every conversation that I have with anybody, just in case I need to use that against them later. So in the Shadowrun universe, we have what's called DocWagon, which is a really nice service. It's kind of like insurance with armed personnel to back it up. So you pay for a yearly contract, and based on the amount of money that you pay, you get different services. Like if you're able to pay for the platinum package, if your life alert bracelet goes into critical alert, they will literally send armed guards in to rescue you. If you can't afford that, you can get the gold package, which is a little less. If you go into critical alert, they will send an armed unit to rescue you, provided that the area is secure and none of their personnel is at risk. If you pay for the platinum legit package, they will send in armed guards to rescue you and save your life. So DocWagon's the money shot, and I had a contract with them. I don't think I didn't have the platinum package. I'm pretty sure I had gold. So they picked up my ass off of the sidewalk while the cops were questioning all the people at the hotel and brought me to a hospital to recover. When I woke up, I get to see all the footage, and I was not happy. Let me recreate that moment for you. Oh, man. Oh, feel like shit. What happened to me? You don't need to worry about that, man. You just get better. No, man. I got my comm leak right here. I'm just gonna review the footage real quick just to see what the. Okay, yeah. No, well, all right, yeah, I remember that. Running for my fucking life right here. What the? Ah, Jesus, God, what the? What the fuck? Somebody just hit me with a car. You! That was your car. I can see it in the fucking. Yeah, you son of a bitch. That was basically how it went down. There were no real repercussions because he was a member of my team, and I was a magnanimous leader, to say the least. I love role playing games. I mean, I love. Probably a lot of it stems from me, not being an actor. There's a path of my life where I stayed in California and I went to Los Angeles and I became an actor. Probably not a successful one, but I'm sure I was on, like many episodes of like Law and Order and Castle and like, bit parts on a bunch of different TV shows. I probably could have pulled that shit off. So I do role playing games. Or talk about role playing games on podcasts. And maybe that's what this will turn into. Maybe I Bought a Microphone will be Matt's RPG podcast. I don't know. It's just not. I don't always want to talk about RPGs, but I do. When I do start talking them, it's hard to roll back. Like I haven't talked about my most favorite, but I'm gonna save that for next week since we're already 20-ish minutes into this motherfucker. Um, If you heard that in the background, sorry about that. But I will continue to talk. So I talked about Shadowrun a lot. I'm going to talk about a bit about Pathfinder, because Pathfinder is again one of my favorite games. It takes what's great about D&D and embraces it. It takes what's irritating about D&D and throws it aside. I like that. And I like that it doesn't have a set universe, though I guess D&D really doesn't. It has thousands of universes, Forgotten Realms, and Ravenloft, and Dark Sun, and all sorts of crazy stuff. But just, oh my god. Snowy Locks. My favorite, favorite, favorite. I think he's one of my. I think he's the favorite character I ever created. I think he's definitely the most fun character I ever created. Like Mr. Smith was probably number 2 or 3, but he had a moral ambiguity that I think made him a little less fun to play. One of the things about Pathfinders, or D&Ds for that matter, alignment system is, it makes you role play, literally. You have to, if you're a good character, you can't go around doing a lot of bad things just because you feel like it and still be a good character. At some point, your character changes, and there can be penalties for losing those. Like, if you're a paladin and you want to go around and kill everybody that you meet, you're not going to be a paladin for very long, because paladins are lawful good, and they hold up, the laws, and they're righteous, and they, So, it's kind of, as Mr. Smith, I can be as morally flexible as I want. I could choose to, suddenly this person is tugging at my heartstrings, and I don't want to kill them. But in a different situation, I could be, this person tugs none at my heartstrings, they die, shoot them in the head with my silenced pistol, and move on. Or as I did on one spectacular moment, I spent in the 4th/20th anniversary edition, they have what's called Edge, which you can use for basically luck. You can spend it to add extra dice to your roll or re-roll dice. In this case, I added extra dice. I got like 14 successes on a fucking shot to some dude's head, and basically blew his head up. Oh man, it was spectacular. He was a badass too. Like, he had blue hair. Like, that's how big of a badass he was. Like, he wasn't afraid to stand out. But I fucking sniped him from, like, several 100 meters away, so he never saw that shit coming. It's how big of a badass I am. I shoot people when they can't see me. Anyway, that's Mr. Smith. He has no moral compass. He just does what he feels like. Snowy Locks, on the other hand, had a very strong moral compass. Like, he literally spent, like, we were in this town. It was kind of a stop on the way somewhere, and we didn't have any particular mission that we were doing. So Snowy Locks spent a lot of his time helping out this young boy that he met, who had a mother, and they were living in what could be charitably described as ghetto housing, like several families to a room, like not very happy situation. So he met this boy, and he befriended him, and spent a little time, meeting his mother, and she was sick, so he went to an apothecary and tried to get her a cure, and then went back, or cleric, apothecary or cleric, whatever, and then went back to her, gave her the cure, tried to give her some money, that she could use to try to get herself a better situation. Like, literally, like, this is after he'd been, dungeon crawling and had killed a bunch of bandits and, had come to this town. And literally, after this, I think, once he felt he had done his due diligence, he went and started a riot, the riot that I was talking about last time. Like, so, which again, he thought was good, because people who fight over crowns and kill other people because of that, fuck those people. They're not doing good for good's sake. They're doing good for what they think is good, for what they think benefits them, and they don't care about who they hurt while they do it. And Snowy Locks does not truck with that. He does not support that. In that same city, like I said, we were doing a little stopover, so we had a bunch of random things that we could do. And there was this certain district of the city where a lot of people were disappearing. So my plan, brilliant as it was to go out without any armor. I took all of my armor off, all of my equipment, I put it aside, I hid it somewhere. And all I basically had was a dagger with me. And then my friends were hiding around the corner with my, my great sword so that I could have that when I needed it. And I was essentially bait. Like, and that wasn't even like a debate. Debate that I was bait. Like, I didn't ever ask anyone else to be bait. I was like, so I'm going to take all my armor off and I'm going to like wander around looking vulnerable, pretend to be drunk, and wait for whatever mysterious force is capturing people. And once they try to capture me, you guys come in, stop them, give me my sword, we'll fucking kill them. Like, that was my brilliant strategy. Turned out to be way more complicated than that, of course. There was this little girl with a cat that lured me at Snowy Locks into an alley, and was like, I'm looking for my cat, please help me find my cat. Turned out the little girl was an evil demon that could, that was like a shadow octopus that could suck people into whatever, I can't remember. Anyway, it took off, started running. Unfortunately, something that thing didn't take into account was I was a barbarian. Barbarians have really fast overground movement compared to other characters. And especially when we're unencumbered, because I was literally unarmored when I was fighting this thing. So I took off after it, and everyone kind of followed my trail as I trekked through the streets and knocked people over and, ran over carts and whatnot to fucking follow this thing. It went down into a sewer. I dove down there. I had my sword, which I got from my friend as I took off. Fought that thing literally to death's door. As a barbarian, you can enter a barbarian rage, which gives you extra hit points. But as soon as the rage fades, or as soon as you go unconscious, your extra hit points are lost. So we fought this thing, killed it, fucked it up, but it hurt the shit out of me, especially since I wasn't wearing armor. So yeah, I went down. As soon as the thing went down, my barbarian rage snapped off, and I fell to the ground. Fortunately, they were able to get me to a cleric before I permanently died. I was I was at the doors of death at that point. One of the neat things about um, Pathfinder, as opposed to like old school D&D. If you go to 0 hit points, you're not automatically dead. You keep bleeding, and every once in a while you take a check. If that check passes, then you stop bleeding. And bleeding is essentially, you're losing hit points. And as long as you haven't gone past your constitution, your character can be revived without any real negative effects. If you've gone past your constitution, at that point you are dead, and you can be revived by magical means, but there are usually consequences for such actions. And if not consequences, really high prices to pay. What an interesting world to live in, where you could just bring people back to life if you have enough gold pieces. Yeah, Trump would be fine. We would all be dead. It's fine. Moving on. I also, there was another great time with Snowy Locks where we fought a bunch of bandits. Um, like they were, I can't remember exactly why we were fighting the. Okay, yeah, no, I remember. All right. So there was this MacGuffin, which is the catch-all term for a magical artifact that is your quest object. And it had gotten taken away from somebody and thrown into the woods. And I thought we were fucking done with the MacGuffin because we threw it into the woods, but somebody else decided that we had to go back for it, and everyone else did that. Turns out a roving band of bandits had come across it. We traced them through the woods, found their encampment, and they were, no good nicks, so Snowy Locks is all ready to go up and kill them. And we actually had a pretty neat plan, which I thought was cool. We actually did like a pincer move where me and the other fighter, like I was the barbarian, I was the blood in, blood out fighter, but he was the more mercenary fighter, so he had more feats than I did. But also not quite as powerful in his attacks. We went right. We were going to start a ruckus, essentially. We were going to attack a group of them and start a whole hubbub, and they were going to. And then the rest of our team were going to come in from behind, and we're going to, rape the dudes that came up the back and weren't paying attention. We were going to get some flank bonuses. It was all going to be beautiful until somebody, pretty sure it was me, failed their stealth roll, and everyone saw us coming and couldn't really position ourselves properly to make advantage of the ambush, and we had to throw it all together at the last minute. But it worked out. We killed them, most of them, and we had a dog. There was a dog that was left over. They had dogs. Some of them we killed. One of them was left over on a chain, and I managed to befriend him. His name was Spike, just because he had a spiked collar. Like, it wasn't a clever name. And he actually became my companion briefly for a couple of adventures before he died, tragically. And I will miss him. Spike for life. Yo. But, oh man, it's just, it's so fun. I don't know what else to say. Like, I could talk about it. I've already talked about it for several tens of minutes, and I could keep talking about it. I'm going to stop right now, just because, it's been enough time. There's going to be one more episode in our RPG series. So I hope you're looking forward to that. Next time on Things I Like to See, I'm going to talk about the game that got me in to role-playing games. The number one, in my opinion, not everybody feels this way, but I don't fucking care what they have to say. We're going to talk about Vampire the Masquerade. It's going to be fun. I guarantee it. It's going to be the nerdiest thing you've ever fucking listened to. And if you want a little window into Matt's high school years, you're definitely going to want to listen to the next episode. So thank you guys for coming out again. All of you who stopped by, I fucking appreciate it. And as always, I fucking love you guys. Take care of yourselves. I will talk to you next time. Thanks for coming to I Bought a Microphone.